What's up, hockey fans? Welcome to Wednesday's edition of Morning Cup of Hockey alongside Colby Cohen. I'm Jonny Lazarus, and we are presented by Betway. If you're going to place a bet on Betway. Please play responsibly, and remember, you must be 19 years of age or older. Tommy T gave us the bet last night. Arizona Coyotes money line. They get smacked 5-0 to the Seattle Kraken. The Philadelphia Flyers get smacked. They let up 9. Rangers and Islanders have a great game. The Islanders come away with a big win and a lot of controversy in the post game between both coaches. A lot to get into, but we got a special guest today coming on the show as well. And I'm going to let Colby explain a little bit who we got coming on here shortly.
Yeah, so we're going to start today's show with a friend of mine who was a master sergeant in the Air Force for 21 years. So an incredible span of service and keeping us all safe here. And the reason that we're having him on, his name is Bill Duffy. He's the president of the Philadelphia Flyers Warriors hockey program. He's also the USA Hockey national rep for Warrior hockey. Now, I don't necessarily want to go into what Warrior hockey is, because I'd rather bring Bill in and let him talk about what Warrior hockey is. But they have their national championships this weekend. It's in North Jersey. And so I just wanted to have him on for 5 minutes just to talk a little bit about Warrior hockey, because it's such a great intersection of veterans and the NHL, because the NHL is heavily involved with the program, especially in Philadelphia. So, Vic, why don't you bring in Duff and we'll chat with my pal Duff this morning a little bit. What's going on, man? How are you?
Good morning. How are you guys? Thanks for having me on.
We're all good.
We're excited to have you on. I know you're at the rink right now, but Duff, if you could just start and explain to everyone a little bit, like, what is Warrior hockey? What is the basis around it? And what are the national championships that you have going on this weekend in Wayne, New Jersey?
Yeah, so Warrior hockey was started about 11 years ago. It started as one team, and it was originally the USA Warriors, and it was disabled veterans that were looking for an outlet after they got out of the military, injured, retired, or just looking for an outlet to get around like-minded individuals. And it has exploded into, I believe, 37 teams throughout the U.S. now. Wow. Some NHL affiliated, some not, because of their geographical location. But it's become the largest disabled hockey discipline in USA Hockey in a short amount of time, and it's a great program for all that participate, because it gets veterans together, and they can do stuff that they were missing when they were in the military, and make new friends and talk about stuff that nobody else would understand.
Duff, I hope this isn't a dumb question, but
it probably is, but go ahead and ask anyway.
But do people get recruited to certain teams for this? Because I imagine, it's taken very seriously, right? It's a very competitive league. You guys are having nationals. Are there players who move? You said 37 teams. Do they move to certain areas to play for a team? I can't imagine it's, something that you just pick up and do, right? It's pretty competitive.
Well, actually, it's a good question, but to answer your question, no. It's usually individuals that are in that geographical location where there's a Warrior program, and we take guys and girls that never even played before.
Okay.
And teach them how to play. We have 4 teams of multiple skill levels, elite all the way down to tier 4, which is like you're learning to play, or people that have only played for a few years. And awesome. It doesn't matter to us. We'll take you. If you're a veteran and you want to be a part of the program, you go through the recruiting process, which is you fill out the paperwork, show that you're honorable, have an honorable discharge, minimum of 10% disability. And then one of our guys, Sean Sweeney, who's the head of recruiting, he does all the legwork on that and gets guys out on and girls out on the ice.
So not a dumb question.
Nope.
Cool.
Good job,
Jonny. You're one for me today. And look, and I can tell you this, the tier 1 team, which is the highest level of the Flyers Warriors program, which Duff is the president of, there's a couple of players from that team that played Division 1. We've got a guy who played at West Point. There's a guy on our team, from the Washington D.C. area who probably could have played Division I hockey, but he went and did his military service instead. So it's very competitive, Johnny. I mean, these guys put a lot of time and effort in. There's film. They travel together. They've got matching
I've
bets.
seen the gear. Yeah, the gear's legit.
Yeah, I mean, look, Spittin' Chicklets has gotten pretty involved over the years doing stuff with these guys, and I've gotten a chance to see it firsthand. A bunch of former Flyers are involved with the program. So it's an incredible program, Duff. You do a great job running the Philly team. Obviously, I'm involved with that with you pretty heavily. And obviously, good luck this weekend. It kills me that I can't be there with you guys, obviously, here at the Frozen Four. But I do want to pivot a little bit and talk a little NHL with you, Duff, because you've been an e-bug before in the NHL.
Oh, shit.
You were a Flyers e-bug for a while. Duff also has played in alumni games for the Flyers. He's kind of the bullpen guy. If they can't get Bush to, maybe, or some of the other guys, they go to Duff. And I know you've had some great experience. You stopped John LeClaire on a breakaway. I've seen the video. I've seen the proof. But,
it was Hartnell. It was Hartnell.
Oh, it was Hartnell. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What's going on with goaltending in Philadelphia right now, Duff? I feel like you're close to maybe playing for the real club the last couple of games of the season right now.
Honestly, I think you think about what happened with Carter having to take a leave of absence and Sam Erson essentially being thrown into the fire. You had two stable guys that were able to split time evenly. And then I just think Sam was overworked. I think he's just gassed at the end of the year. And then Fedotov coming in, you can see he's uncomfortable out there. You can tell he's trying to still get used to the NHL atmosphere and the different pace of the game, the size of the rink. I mean, he's always messing. He's still getting used to his gear from being at the practices and watching him. He's just. I just don't think he's ready for it yet. And and poor Sam, I mean, he's just been put in a situation that he didn't expect to be the main guy.
Mm-hmm. Duff, we're getting a lot of comments in the chat, people thanking you for your service, and people, happy that you're here. Just wanted to, let you know that there are a lot of people right now listening that are, very thankful that you're on here.
Johnny, before you ask your question, Duff, are you okay with us putting your email in the chat? Because there are some people who, like, we have one of our listeners, New York Ranger Marine, who said he'd love to join, but there's no teams near him. And I know there are other teams in the metropolitan area of Jersey and New York and stuff like that. Are you cool if we put your email in the chat so they could reach out to you and then maybe you could direct them?
Yeah, that's no problem. Absolutely.
Okay,
that's
cool.
Part of my job at USA Hockey to help people that are trying to join programs. So
okay. So Vic, maybe you could put that in the chat. And if there are any veterans listening or watching and they want to reach out to Duff, they have an opportunity to. Sorry to cut you off.
Good call.
For once, I'm sorry to cut you off, Johnny. So now you can proceed with your question.
And for once, I'm happy to shut up and let you talk. But Duff, just, sticking with that theme of the Flyers and kind of their struggles. I asked this, a couple weeks ago when they were in town playing the Rangers, but I'm going to ask this probably to Tortorella on Thursday. With the way the season is ending right now, I know Torts had, a lot of positive things to say in his post-game press conference last night, and I know a lot of us were expecting the opposite. When you look back on this season now, is it more of a disappointment or is it still a big step in what they're trying to build there? But knowing that they let this playoff opportunity slip away, it's got to be a little bit of, damn, boys, we had one here.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it was when they started the season where they had like a 3% chance of making the playoffs.
Probably less.
It was something crazy like that. And to be in the position they're in, it's a short-term disappointment in the long run. Because ultimately, before the past 2 weeks, it's been a great season. Everybody's been excited being at the arena and seeing all the fans and even the employees. Like, it's a whole new atmosphere. We work hand in hand with Flyers Charities, the community relations team, and their whole mentality has been totally different. Like, it's been a breath of fresh air for the whole organization as a whole with Danny and Keith Jones and Tortorella. I mean, Torts is old school. Like, people get upset when he does stuff, but the guy's been around forever. He's probably a Hall of Fame coach. Like, he's won Stanley Cups. He's been on multiple teams, and it's a short-term disappointment. But at the end of the day, I think it's a success because nobody expected them to be who they were this year.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think that's a very fair way. It's a very level-headed way. I think, Duff, because you're so close to the program, you've got so many good ties to the organization. I know the players all there's a lot of crossover between the Flyers players and the Flyers Warriors players. It's a pretty cool bond because I think the Flyers guys love getting involved with the Warriors. So I think that's a very level-headed way to look at it, Duffy. I don't know how many fans are able to be as level-headed as you are. I know we have some guys on our team that certainly aren't that level-headed about it. So, look, I want to wish you luck this weekend. I hope the event is wildly successful. Make sure we kick Colorado's ass, please. There's no second place for Philadelphia this year. I'll have Live Barn on probably between the benches while I'm working, doing the national championship game. I'll have to have Live Barn on so I can be watching our game. So thanks for coming on. Good luck. And if any people have questions, we'll definitely point them in your direction. All right.
That sounds good. Thanks, guys. And thanks for having me on this morning.
Thanks, Duff. Good
All
luck.
right.
All right, Colby, that was awesome. I don't know if you want to say anything else before we kind of move on to the next topic, but that was really cool to have him here.
Yeah, listen, it's a great group of guys. It's cool to see the love of the game. Like, it's very adolescent the way these guys love the game, right? Because any opportunity any of them could have had to play hockey, they missed all the massive years, spending multiple tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I mean, these guys have made the ultimate sacrifices. And I say this all the time. We misuse the word hero way too much in our society. Like, those are the human beings that should be tagged with that and not the dumb ways we like to use it here in our culture. So I'm glad we got to have him on. I'm glad we got to talk a little Warrior Nationals. I'll obviously update everyone next week as to what happens. We've got, our Philly group has 4 teams in the tournament. We've got 100+ players. They take care of equipment for these guys. I mean, the budget is massive. Flyers donate tons of money. It's a great program. And I was involved with the one with the Blackhawks as well. So it's good people. It's good people. So anyways, Big E says Johnny looks like Squints right now. Johnny, do you know who Squints is? Do you know that reference?
That's from
you shouldn't have to think.
No, the Sandlot.
Okay, you shouldn't have to think, but at least you got there. But I do agree with you right now, Big E.
I couldn't see shit on my screen. I'm far away.
Look, I don't have a lot of time here today because I got to get over to the arena to start doing production meetings and whatnot. So let's jump right into the meat of the show.
Yeah, let's get into our Parasso playoff preview presented by Parasso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care, made in Italy since 1948. Parasso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at Parasso-USA.com with promo code Hockey15 in all caps. Hockey15, that's 15% off at Parasso-USA.com with our code Hockey15. And a lot of things were affected last night, I guess, in the playoff picture. The Islanders, pretty much are right there to solidify their playoff hopes. The Capitals get a big win. Flyers are basically done. I mean, you basically waved the white flag last night for the Flyers, right? Like, there's no way now. We talked about it yesterday, but this thing's done. Colby owes me a nice fancy dinner, and
I do.
Since he doesn't want to join me for it, I guess you're sponsoring a date.
I texted Johnny and I said, look, if you want this to happen quickly, let me just get you give you my credit card, go have fun, go take a date to dinner, whatever. But if you want to drag it out and wait a while, you can wait for me to come to New York. But one way or the other, you're getting your dinner. I always pay my bets. I'm waving the white flag. I think that the Flyers are officially done. If they weren't before yesterday, they certainly are done now. They just, it's as bad a spiral as it could be right now for that team. So, terribly uninspiring defensive zone coverage mistakes that they just haven't made all year. And Torts said as much. I actually,
did you watch the Torts press conference?
I did. Yeah. I watched the whole thing. And, you're right. You thought he might have blown up, but I think now he's got to manage guys' attitudes, because he's got to remember, like, he's about to say bye to these guys for a while, and you don't want to leave where everybody's at each other's throat. You don't want that. And so I thought that his press conference was good.
Yeah,
I thought it was accurate. I really did. But this team, they need to finish and look for some pride. We don't on this show care about that. Like, we're done with you. Sorry, Flyers, you're out. Sorry, Big E, your group's out. Now we focus on the other groups, because it's still, it's still dicey. We still don't know who's getting in. And there were some results last night, Johnny, that, affect that.
Yeah, and the Rangers Islanders, let's just stick with those two teams for a hot second, because there was a lot of stuff that came out after the game about questionable hits and whatnot. Both coaches not necessarily going at each other, but making comments that can go against one another. And those two teams play Saturday afternoon at 12:30 at Madison Square Garden, and there should be a lot of fireworks in that game from everything that transcended at the end. I mean, Trocheck gets hit from behind. Mika Zibanejad takes a rough hit that I think was fully accidental. I mean, there's a lot of arguing.
It's accidental. There's no argument. This is
everyone's saying that Pelech had the chicken wing up. So did Zibanejad.
So did Zibanejad. Fucking break. That's just like baby shit. Like, come on.
So
Peter Laviolette sounded like a 10-year-old having a temper tantrum in his press conference last night. He was upset at himself because he didn't play Matt Rempe. That's why he's upset at himself.
You've turned the corner on Matt Rempe, huh?
No, he's a goon. You play your goon in a game against a team that you're probably going to play first night of the playoffs. Why wouldn't you play him? If he's such a culture setter and such a tone setter, where is he? Well, Lavi was pissed that he didn't play him. I truly believe Peter Laviolette was upset with himself first and foremost.
I think he was also upset with, the no call on the Trocheck hit, but
and also
what
that whole slew footing incident, that was not a slew foot. No. That's just two guys getting tangled up with each other. Everybody get your panties out of a bunch, okay? Like, just chill out here, all right?
Palmieri was pissed, though, when that happened. Palmieri went right after Zibanejad.
I mean, listen, the only guy who had the right to be pissed last night was Trocheck when Dauber plastered him from, 5 feet off the wall from behind when he was looking up at a puck. Like, that was a dangerous play. And I love Dauber. Like, I love Noah Dobson. I love the kid, but that was a dangerous play. Like, you can't do that and get away with it nonetheless.
So, okay, we're all in agreement here that in no way was the Pelech hit on Zibanejad.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
I watched the replay. Like, even when I first saw it, I was like, okay, accidental collision. Then I saw the replay again, and I'm like, they're not even looking at each other. Like,
no.
Like, maybe Pelech stops to get in the way. Like, but he's also I feel like he's playing. You would know better. I feel like he's playing his position there.
Listen.
His head never turns to see Zibanejad.
We're watching it in slow motion on replays. Yeah. Hockey does not happen in slow motion. Okay. Yes. Like, they're not moving full speed, but they're not also moving in slow motion. Guys are still in motion. Mika's looking one way. Pelech's completely looking the other. It's just like, it's just Lavi trying to work the league, work the refs, get him ready for a playoff series. Mad at himself. There's a number of things going on in that clip.
MYR Marine's actually on my side. He said, it's sickening, Johnny. There are Ranger fans who think it was intentional. I mean, listen, I get when you're kind of wearing your Ranger hat, why you'd think it could be intentional, because maybe Pelech's arm was like this, but that's how you hold your stick.
Stop creating a narrative. His elbow was not out. He did not chicken wing him.
What narrative am I creating? I've been saying the whole time.
Like, I could understand it as a Rangers fan. No, you can't.
The ones who are emotional
ran into each other.
I'm saying the Ranger fans who are emotional that can't take the fucking hat off. We got another one. If the Islanders make the playoffs, it will doom their fans for at least 5 more years of Lou. That's actually Pacendi.
Good question from Pacendi. Yeah,
I don't think it's a question. I think it's just a statement.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I think if they make the playoffs and they keep Lou, I mean, but again, is your goal really to make it and lose in the first round? I mean, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, if Lou has his job next year as the general manager, the Islanders are just going to continue to be average and in trouble.
Big E said clean hit and Kane should have got revenge. Well, that's actually funny because Arthur Staple, who writes for The Athletic, he covers the Rangers and the Islanders. He is, he's become, I say he's a good friend of mine now. I don't know what he would say, but he loves to give me shit. Loves to. I walked into the pregame press conference with Laviolette yesterday, and Arthur looks at me, starts laughing, and goes, "That was probably your dumbest tweet I've ever seen." I was like,
which one? You have a lot of those.
No, that's what I said. I was like, which one? And he's like, the Kane one. Like, why would you say that? Like, next time, just think quickly.
I sent Vic at least 4 tweets of yours last night, and I just was like, I can't even send these to Johnny and argue with him right now about how dumb they are. I just don't have the strength. I'm too tired from traveling.
What did I say last night?
Do me a favor, Vic. Just put these in the vault. We've started a vault of all your bad tweets that we're probably gonna do an episode on at some point.
Okay. I like that. I like that.
But man,
you can do a blind ranking of my dumb tweets.
you never cease to amaze me with that. So how about the other game though? Ovi gets his 30th goal. What's he, 43 goals away from Gretzky? Like, how could anybody in their right mind not think this guy's gonna get 43 more goals? I mean, come on. He's got 18.
He might get it next year.
He's got 18 30-goal seasons in the NHL. He's the first player to ever do that. Just chew on that for a second, hockey fans. 18 years of 30 goals. Holy shit. Like 18 years. And, of course, Vic was quick to tell me, well, Austin Matthews has done it 8 times already. Well, listen, he's got 10 more years to go. Like you've got to be 35, 36, and 37 scoring 30 before, we're putting you there. Now, listen, Matthews looks like he's going to get on track and could potentially beat Ovi one day, but 10 years is a long time. Injuries, guys slow down. That's what's amazing about Ovi, man, is that, his ability to continue to score 30. What's he, 36 years old now, 37 years old now? I mean, it's crazy, man.
He's 38.
Well, he's the 86 draft year, 19, because Crosby was the 87 draft. Yeah. So there you go.
And
I mean,
I want to say the 1 year, Colby, that he didn't score 30 was 2021, and he only played 45 games. He had 24 goals. So he would have probably had 30 had he stayed healthy.
Right. Oh, did I say 18 consecutive? Sorry. I just 18,
no, you said 18, but there's only one. There's only 1 year where he didn't get it. And I just
it's unbelievable.
I think that makes it even sicker that he only has one season where he hasn't scored 30 goals. Like, that's insane. Do we want to get into the argument that has taken on a life on social media? I didn't listen to their episode, but I saw a clip of Chicklets talking about it. Do you want to get into that now? I don't know.
Look, Matthews got 66. Most in the salary cap era. Right? Nobody's done it since Mario, which is insane in 94, 95. So, look, Austin Matthews gets 70 goals. To me, he's MVP. Like, he just is. Like, I think 70 goals, he becomes the MVP. 68, 69, not the MVP, which is crazy because we're talking about 1 goal, right? Like, we're talking about what could be like an empty net goal.
But McDavid had 64 last year,
But if you hit 70, you should be MVP. If he doesn't, then the other guys, McKinnon and I mean the two that are running away with it right now. I mean, that was insane what McKinnon did last night. Like, look, Kucherov, like I don't know, man. I just think 50 goals and whatever 80 assists or 85 or whatever assists, even though Kucherov had 3 more last night, like I'm going 70 goals Matthews. If not 70 goals, to me, it's McKinnon. It just is. Like I don't know. I mean, that's where I'm at with it, Johnny.
I agree. But as far as the 70 goals versus 100 assists conversation goes, Biz tweeted this the other night, and it sparked a lot of debate over social media, on podcasts. I'm pretty sure Frank talked about it his whole show yesterday. So to you, what's more impressive? Because I know that
70 goals. 70 goals.
I agree. I don't get how. I know the 100 assist category has only been done by 3 people, and those 3 guys, I believe, it's Gretzky, Lemieux, and Orr. I think. I'm pretty sure those are the 3. But 70 goals is like, I just, because the 100 assists, you can get a secondary.
That's the thing. You can
chip a puck out and get an assist for it.
But which, listen, points are points, but I agree. The reason is because if you had 100 primary assists,
different story.
But 100 assists versus 70 goals, to me, it's a no-brainer. It's 70 goals. So I don't think it's that much of a debate, but it is being talked about, continuing to move kind of through. How about
also one thing about Matthews too, before we move on, he has 49 even strength goals. He might have 50 even strength goals in a season, which is fucking absurd. McKinnon has 41. He's like not too far off, but
that's because Matthews hunts pucks. Matthews is so good at creating turnovers. Matthews wins battles on the walls. I mean, you watch how many times he'll lift the guy's stick and then just absolutely turn and it'll be in the back of your net in less than 2 seconds. I mean, he's pretty lethal, with his stick defensively, and it helps him hunt pucks. That's been a big of his game has evolved. Now he's got to take that to the playoffs and go to a whole nother level in the playoffs. And he's been good. He's gotten better, but he's got to go to a new level in the playoffs and get his team through a round. Because, Florida or whoever, it looks like it'll be Florida, right? That's going to be a very, very difficult series for them with how heavy Florida can play.
We have some comments in the chat though. Big E said, I mean, you say goals are more impressive because it's harder to score now, but doesn't that mean 100 assists are harder too? Then MY Marine said, one person scores the goal, two can get the assists. 120 to 130 assists is 70 goals. I guess we're doing hockey math there. But yeah, to me, it's goals 10 out of 10 times. I think.
Let me ask you another question as we continue to move along. I've only got a couple of minutes here, but Slavkovsky gets a hat trick last night, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's about to get his 20th goal in his second year.
Don't ask me this.
Who are you taking long term, Slavkovsky or Lafreniere?
Right now, I'm taking Lafreniere, but long term, I'm Slavkovsky is such a big physical specimen, and he's really turned it up this year. And
second year in the league with
I think
not even half as much talent.
That's what I was going to say. The talent around the Rangers right now is so much better. I think long term, I'd have to say Slavkovsky right now.
Wow.
I mean,
Vic, let's clip that for social media. Let's clip that for social media. So look, let's just do Betway quickly here, Johnny.
Yeah.
And do a little preview. Vic, if you could put in our chat what we're doing here, what bet we have tonight for Betway, and or maybe Vic, you want to jump on here and when Vic, I get off and you can come up with a bet. I think he's got to look into it real quick here and get that all set up. So look, I think that continue to look at the games tonight. Chicago, St. Louis, Vegas and Edmonton. No McDavid. Vegas is still can they catch? Do you have the standings up in front of you, Johnny? Can they catch? What's their path to catching Nashville? Because they have a bunch of games in hand. I mean, sorry, LA. I'm pretty sure I looked last night, and they've got quite a few games in hand on
Vegas is 1 point back of LA with one game in hand.
Right. And they've got one game in hand on them. They've got 2 games in hand on Nashville. So there's still some jockeying to be done at the bottom there, which has a lot of impact on those first round matchups. So, I'll be interested to see this Vegas Edmonton game, how Vegas comes out. They need to have a good game or two here before the end. They really do. You don't want to go into playoffs with a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth. That's not good for confidence for anyone, including the coaching staff. It puts them on edge. It makes them uneasy. They don't know what they're getting. So you'd like to see Vegas take advantage of no McDavid with who's out day to day, right?
Yeah, I mean, they also, they blew a lead the other night. Did you just say that or no?
Kind of, but that's okay.
Yeah. Just a big bounce back opportunity. And like you said, I mean, even a team like the Islanders, not to compare the two, but they don't play great last night, but they get a win, and you just want to feel good winning games going into the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
I have a question for you too, though. These teams now that are clinching spots, when do you start sitting guys? Because in the East, like, first place still up for grabs. I've been asked a bit here about Zibanejad and Lindgren. Like, do you sit them the next game if they're able to play?
Here's what makes me nervous in the East is teams should be doing everything in their power to not play Tampa.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I said.
Whoever Tampa plays in the first round as the second wild card, they're going to beat. Tampa's going to win
the favorite. I would say Tampa's the favorite.
If the Bruins have to play Tampa in the first round, the Bruins are done. So I just think that you got to do everything you can right now to not play Tampa Bay. So that's how I would use the choice of who am I sitting? Am I resting guys? Am I playing guys? Is where do we sit? Are in the East? Could we find Tampa Bay? And if the answer is yes, then you play guys. So
I said clinch first place, sit everybody.
Yeah. All right. So look, we've got our bet of the day. So let's get to our partners at Betway. We're still running this great promotion of a free bet of up to $200. If your first bet loses, you create a new account. We've got the QR code up on our screen right now. Make sure you scan it with your phone. That will help you automatically redeem that bonus. So you place the bet. If it loses, they'll get $200 right back into your account, and you can continue to use that money to play different games. We got the playoffs coming up. You're going to want to have this opportunity for the playoffs. The offer is available only outside of Ontario. Always play responsibly and must be 19 years of age or older. And we are going with who, Vic?
Well, gentlemen, you just talked about it, Colby. We're going to take the Vegas Golden Knights on the money line with no Connor McDavid in the lineup for the Edmonton Oilers. I think Vegas has a lot more to play for here. Edmonton looks like they're starting to rest some guys. I don't think if this was a playoff game, Connor McDavid would be out. I think they're just probably trying to get some rest for the guys. It sucks because he's stuck at 99 assists, but we're going to take advantage of that and take Vegas minus 105 on the money line.
All right. Thank you to our man, Vic, for the bet. We'll see if it hits. We will talk about it off the top tomorrow. So look, Johnny, there's some good questions in the chat, some interesting ones, some interesting observations. I got to jump here. But I know you're going to stay on and converse with people and give them some bad opinions on things. So we'll talk later today. And tomorrow we'll definitely tee up the Frozen Four with Celebrini and all the stars that are here. I'll let you know if I hear anything today. I am hearing Devils prospect Seamus Casey is going to be back playing for Michigan. That's a huge get. So you do your thing here, Johnny. The mic is yours. Nobody's going to cut you off. Nobody's going to yell at you. You just have as much time as you want to just rant and rant and rant. So, buddy, you enjoy yourself. Have a good rest of the show, and we'll talk later, okay?
All right. Have fun today, Colby. We'll see you tomorrow morning. I'm going to bring in a special guest here, too, though. With Colby leaving, I don't want to be alone and talk with myself, so I'm just going to bring in a little buddy of mine right here. Come on.
All right, guys. See you later.
This is my nephew, Wyatt. I'm at my sister's house, and we're going to answer questions together. So if anyone in the chat has a question, Wyatt loves to look at himself on the screen. Johnny, you're the man. Take a shot at Colby while he's gone. Not going to do that. MYR Marine, good luck, Colby. Have a great day. I will yell at Johnny for you. Any questions about the playoffs? I think MYR Marine had one about Carolina's matchup. And I guess we're talking about who, the Islanders or the Rangers. I think Carolina matching up against the Islanders is probably tougher. And Semyon Varlamov has been the better goalie. Oh, we're talking Islanders or Penguins. So I think the Islanders give Carolina a tougher game than Pittsburgh. I just think Pittsburgh's a little bit older and slower than the Islanders are. Not that the Islanders are, this incredibly fast team, but in the first period last night, if you watched that game, you want to say something? In the first period, if you watched that game against the Islanders and Rangers last night, the Islanders looked like a totally different team. I mean, they were flying at 5-on-5. The Rangers had no business being in that game. And I think if you're talking about a team like Carolina that can skate 200 feet, for 60 minutes, the Islanders are probably the team that can keep up with them more than Pittsburgh. Again, Pittsburgh has more skill with Crosby, Malkin, Letang on the back end, Carlson on the back end, Brian Rust. But I guess I don't know if people would call Brian Rust a skill guy. But I just think the Islanders play a little bit more toward Carolina's style than Pittsburgh does. So I would say the Islanders are a tougher matchup for Carolina than the Penguins. JC White is a good Dallas Stars name. Johnny, would you have dressed Rempe last night? So I actually asked Peter Laviolette if sitting Rempe had to do anything with, who they were playing, because obviously the last two times these teams met was the Stadium Series when Matt Martin fought Matt Rempe, and knowing that the Islanders were going to play with a lot of emotion, it may have sparked another Rempe fight with him in the lineup. I think something that we want to get Rupper back on for. He's actually behaving so well right now. Something that I've been talking to Mike Rupp about is if you want Rempe to be effective in the playoffs, you got to play him in these games right now. You have to teach him, with 4 or 5 games left, to control his emotions instead of sitting him and then just throwing him into a playoff game. So if it were me, I've been saying how important and effective and impactful Matt Rempe is, I think, for this team, especially in home games. When he's out there, the building is just different. So, I would have played him. I think they might play him on Thursday. All right, maybe take Wyatt back. He's starting to get a little noisy, but thank you guys for letting Wyatt sit in here for a little bit. He's such a good boy. He drooled all over my hand. But if we're talking, are the Rangers a better team with Rempe in the playoffs versus not a better team with him out of the lineup? I'm saying put Rempe in. 10 times out of 10. So I would like to see him in the lineup, in the next few games and for game 1 of the playoffs. But I also understand maybe sit him game 1, let him feel the emotion of a playoff game, and then throw him in game 2 once he's kind of seen it and witnessed it and can control it a little bit more. Because the first 10 minutes of a game 1 and a game 3, when you're playing in the, the building for the first couple times, or let me rephrase that. Game 1 and game 3 are pivotal games in a series, right? Game 1 starts at game 3. You're in the other building for the first time. So the emotions are just a little bit higher to me in those 2 games. And you can make the same case for like a game 5. Obviously, game 7 is game 7. So, I think it's a little bit interesting if you want to put Rempe in the press box for those 2 games and let him come in for a game 2, a game 4 when the series kind of settles down a bit. Who else we got here? Any other good questions? Jay Miller, who's your heart pick, Johnny? Colby and I talked about it a little bit. I agree. If Matthews gets 70, I mean, we haven't seen that done in over 30 years. It's going to be so hard to deny him as the MVP. But what Nathan McKinnon is doing this year, I mean, 50 goals and almost he has how many assists? McKinnon has 90 or 86. To me, I think 50 and 85 is so impressive. So it's tough, but I agree with Colby. Matthews gets 70. I think he might be MVP. If he does not, I think it's McKinnon. I hate to discredit Kucherov, but I watched McKinnon last night against Minnesota, and that was just a guy on a different planet. I mean, that goal he scored where he flew through Tampa's defense to spring free for a breakaway. I think he did it even like twice. Was insane. Vic, do you have any comments? Do you want to pop in here? I don't like talking to myself that much, but this is actually a good question from Dragonfly Jones right there. Top team most likely to get upset by a lower seed in the playoffs. Let's have a little discourse here. I mean, I think the top team that would in the East that's most likely for an upset is Boston.
Yeah.
I think most people would agree with that. And I think in the West, it's Vancouver, right? Like, is anyone really arguing those 2 teams?
The homer in me says Florida. They've honestly, I think the Leafs match up way better against them this year than last year, just bulked up at the deadline. But I do think the Tampa Bay is probably the scariest team in the league right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Leafs are lucky to avoid them for the 3rd time in a row.
We could very well see a Tampa Bay and Vegas Stanley Cup final. Like that's very possible. So yeah, I would say Boston and Vancouver. And I'm sure, once the playoffs seeds are up, we'll have like a whole show where we kind of break down each series. And I already know when it comes to me in the Tampa series, I'm probably picking Tampa. And when it comes to me in the Vegas series, obviously depending on who they're, if they're playing Dallas, it's going to be tough. But I'm probably taking those 2 teams no matter who their opponent is in the first round. So you like
Vegas more than the Oilers?
What do you mean?
If Vegas can pass the Kings and it's Vegas Oilers round 1, you like Vegas?
I just think all the pressure in the world is on Edmonton. And I think Vegas is kind of playing with house money, and I think that gives them an advantage. And Aiden Hill, if he's fully healthy and ready to go, it's tough, man. He's been one of the best goalies in the league when healthy. And we know what Edmonton's goaltending does in the playoffs. Vegas beat them last year, and their power play was like 50% last year. Like how much better can you play if you're Edmonton, you know?
And the Kings gave the Oilers a run as well. They have a couple seasons in a row here.
Yeah. So, any other questions that we want to get to before we kind of wrap it up here? I know there aren't a ton, but let's see.
Who do you think will make it? Are you counting out the Capitals? They're at -40 and they're in a playoff spot right now. Do you think it's Capitals and Isles, or do you think Pittsburgh will catch them?
I mean, it's tough. I'm not counting out Detroit yet, because Detroit has Montreal on a back-to-back to finish the season. You know,
they got my Leafs on Saturday night as well.
Yeah. I think Washington does fall out, although their last games against Philly. I'm so excited for the Islanders Penguins game. I think it's next Wednesday. That's the last game of the season for those two teams. It's going to be what is hopefully like a game 7. That's going to be unbelievable. So if I'm picking two teams, I think I said on yesterday's show, I said Penguins, Islanders, and I'm kind of sticking to that. But again, like every time I think it's two teams, the other two come into play.
Yeah,
so,
except for the Flyers yesterday.
Except for the Flyers now. It's been insane.
I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot here just before we wrap here. If you have to pick the team to win the Stanley Cup right now, who's your pick?
I've been saying, so my pick before the season started was Edmonton. I've been saying for probably the last 3 months, it's still Colorado to me. But as of late, Dallas is fucking sick. I mean, I still think Colorado is just on a different level. I know Dallas beat them the other night. But gun to my head, I'm saying the Colorado Avalanche. Nathan McKinnon he's a different beast.
Yeah, and I honestly agree with you. I think Colorado's the team to beat, but Georgiev versus anybody else in the West is a massive mismatch. Like Hellebuck, Ottinger, I'm taking everybody else over Georgiev. So that scares me a little bit in a game 7, but Colorado's good enough to beat anybody in 6. So,
and I just want to mention one thing. I kind of want to talk about with Colby, but you guys make fun of me because I always say like this, whatever in the NHL. Steven Stamkos is about to get 40 goals again. He's been over a point a game, basically his entire career. He's only making $8.5 million, still hasn't signed a contract with Tampa. I mean, that guy to me, and I think how old is he? He's 35?
34, 35.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he might literally be the most overlooked player in the NHL. This guy is producing at an unbelievable rate every single season at 106 points like 2 years ago. And I feel like just never gets talked about as one of the elite guys in the NHL when year in, year out, he continues to be one.
How much of that do you think is because he's probably the third best forward on his own team?
You're putting him behind Kucherov and Point, obviously Kucherov, but Point too. Well, I guess, can you make like a similar case for Rantanen? Like Rantanen is the third best player on his team behind McKinnon and Makar.
Yeah, but I don't hear anyone talk. Do people talk about him?
Well, I'm saying that's why he gets overlooked. Last year he had 55 goals, and I feel like it was the quietest 55-goal season ever.
Yeah, again, and I always bring you back to the Leafs, but William Nylander is probably the third best player on his team as well.
Yeah, but Nylander was talked about the entire first half of the season when he was on that tear. Like no one was sleeping on that,
That's fair.
So, any final thoughts, Vic, before we wrap up today's show?
Nope. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks to the listeners. Thanks to Bill Duffy. We will talk to you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. when Colby is back, and we'll do a full Frozen 4 preview. My nephew Wyatt says thank you as well. But have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content.